Okay, and we're live. Welcome to the Informed and Oblivious podcast. I'm Fiction Phil, and this is not Jamie. Welcome to the premiere episode. So I was going to avoid talking about this kind of stuff, but I feel like we have to, given the week. So we're going to dive into the economy today.
That's okay.
Yeah. So how's your 401k doing?
My 401k currently is basically empty. I've got the old one from the last company, which I honestly I don't know what kind of state that's in right now. I'd have to look it up. But there's two different 401k companies from my current one, which I haven't put anything in yet. So I have no idea.
Yeah, so like most of America then. Yeah. So I was going to talk about it, but again, it's feeling a lot like we're living a real life Civ game right now. So I kind of got to bring it up because I am akin to trade war manipulation in Sim. So know all about that in Civs. So but yeah, I just love the freak out and how crazy it's been because again, the market lost like I don't know like 10% this week, and everybody's losing their mind. And I just find it funny because the people losing their mind have no money in the market.
It's already like slightly rebounded or something, right?
Yeah. It came back like I think it was down like the most like at like 15% or something like that after a couple of days, and it went back like 10%. And like, who cares? Like I really don't care. I just wanted to bring it up because I'm laughing so hard at this thing, and I don't think people realize how many people don't have money in this stock market at all. The only thing I'm sad about is Bitcoin's a little bit down. You know, that'll rebound. That'll rebound for my fraction of a coin that I have. Um, but this has been a long time coming, and people don't realize it because this has basically been a pressure building since the .com bubble and the shenanigans there, and cascade of failures for years. And I'm going to preface this to everyone by letting them know I am by no means a financial expert, but I read a lot, and I'm an idiot. So, I like to muse the workings that's going on behind the scene. But basically, we've created a system where the very, very top people have zero issue if they fail. So, like, remember 2008 when we bailed out the banks and the car companies?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that set the precedent. From now on, we just bail people out. So what that's done is it's stopped the major corporations at the top from being responsible with their money, and they instead just spend it all like they never have to worry if they have a bad day.
Because they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So that pressure combined with the fact that the .com bubble taught people that instability in the markets makes them money. So through the not being able to fail and the instability in the market, transferring large amounts of money back and forth, we've basically created a system that has funneled so much money away from the middle class and the bottom. It's not funny. And now they all want us to cry when they're losing their money. And I'm laughing about it. But the best thing ever to me was seeing some of like the rich people like on both sides of the aisle cry like, "What about my $7 million?" Dude, I'm just trying to get $7 for Panera. Like, what are you talking about? Like, who cares? I don't like. Oh my God, you mean the market's tanked 5% and you lost 7 million? So like, what does that mean? You got like 70 million tied up in the market? Like, am I supposed to be upset about this? Like, I don't get it.
Average Joe ain't got nothing in the market, so the fuck do we care?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but my work's very split. So I'm just like it's back and forth, back and forth. But I don't know what the sentiment is around your place. If anybody even because this thing, I don't think anybody even cares that these markets are crashing, other than old people.
I got a handful of coworkers who like I see them checking stocks and shit on their phone every now and then, but I don't know how deeply any of them are actually into it or any of that. So
Okay, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm here for it. I'm waiting to see what happens. The back and forth between the U.S. and China is actually kind of hilarious. if you take all the politics out of it, it's like it really is like the Austin Powers meme: 100 million quadrillion quadrillion % tariff increase.
At this point, it's just fake numbers.
Yeah. All it's going to mean for right now, anyway, is that the ships are just going to stay in port. People aren't going to do anything. They're just not going to ship product until this is done. Now, that's going to create a different issue, but an issue we've dealt with before. That's what happened during COVID when we had supply chain issues. Certain things went up in price because they were hard to get. Certain things didn't get touched at all. And as soon as this gets sorted out, they'll flood the market again with product.
It'll leave them back out. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit of price shock. We'll have to see. But I'm laughing. I didn't get to check it today, but apparently China was set to increase their tariff to 125% as well.
What are they at now?
I think they're 84% on us. The U.S. is 145% on them, and that's a correction to the 125% because they forgot about their original 20% fentanyl tariff that they put on China, and they're like, "Whoops, yeah, that was supposed to be there, so actually it's 145%." Yeah. So it's craziness. So I'm here for it because it probably means we'll see some shenanigans on Monday of like Trump being like, "All right, 250%."
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a joke at this point.
Yeah.
Especially because like it's going up like so fast and in such like large quantities each time that like the people who actually like running like taking the I don't know how the fucking money part of it actually works, but like do they have time to actually make the changes before the ships are coming in? Like,
well, here's the thing that's a nightmare for the people that do this at the ports for a living, and I have a little bit of sympathy for these guys because they're like, oh my god, what the fuck, because they have to we've experienced this so far. We got a shipment from overseas. But at first, the tariff was like outrageous. They were going to be like, oh my God, it's this. And then they check the date that they shipped. They're like, oh no, it's the old one. It's this. So I guess the tariffs are from the date that they shipped from the country of origin, not the time they arrive at our country. But the problem with that is these tariffs have been going up incrementally. So they're going to have to look at shipments and be like, okay, when did this come here? April 1st. All right, it's 20%. April 2nd. All right, 30%. Like,
be doing differential equations to figure
out
how much they gotta fucking pay.
Yes, and because there's a time zone difference and it went in effect at midnight, they also have to factor that in. Yeah, it's bonkers. It's an absolute nightmare. But yeah, basically anything that's shipping between this time period before it gets resolved is going to progressively increase in price if it's coming from there.
So you think are we going to get them like forging the date on their fucking like shipping documents and shit now? If they can like squeeze it in by a day to skip the tariff.
It'd be hard to do, especially because the date of shipment that they're going to use is the U.S. company's date of shipment.
Okay.
So, like, unless they can get their U.S. counterparts to fake that data, which, depending on who they are, maybe. But, yeah, it's also going to create a nightmare headache for Europe and all those other countries, too, because, again, they put that into place and then paused it and lowered everything down to 10%. So for like a day or two, like if you ship something, it is at that higher rate. Jeez. It doesn't matter that it paused it. It's whatever was there that day.
When it was shipped.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so that's why like certain things are just like they're just sitting in port right now and they're waiting. They're like, okay, until we know.
There's a handful of motherfuckers at some ports whose job just got like 100% harder.
Yeah, so that's kind of what created some of the instability in the market too, because people that like knew how that worked and knew that that was going to be the case, where it's going to be like varying, were like, well, I can't price a product because today it could be this price, tomorrow could be this price, and I don't know where to set that medium to like make sure that I recoup that money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's one of the things that's always like weirded me out about like the Bitcoin and that sort of stuff. Like the one specifically that like people actually try to use as like currency, not as like a trading thing. Like as a trading thing, like, you know, more akin to a stock. I understand investment in the cryptos, but like there were like not too long after like fucking like Starbucks started saying like, oh yeah, we'll take Bitcoin as payment instead. But like, how do you do that when that market fluctuates so much?
So that's really smart on their part, and this is the thing. So and I think Tesla was like one of the first ones to really be like, yeah, we'll take Bitcoin and Doge, and then he manipulated the Doge market for sure. Like we know he did for sure. Like that Doge was about to go up to $1, and then suddenly there was like massive like sell off, like a whale, like a Doge whale, like got out and like it all like tanked. He for sure like got a bunch of Doge, propped it up, sold a bunch of Doge, made a crap ton of money. Other people made money too, but manipulated for sure. I can't say if it was intentional and malicious, but he definitely did it, and there's no regulation around it, so they can do it. So that's one thing you got to be careful with crypto. There is very little regulation like around the actual like sale and practices of crypto and that whole like manipulation thing. And even with like the Haktua coin and the fraud that went on there, the fraud isn't around the coin itself, but more like the contracts that they had outside of it.
Yeah, fucking Hawk Tuah girl got ripped off with that shit as much as anybody because like she didn't know what the fuck she was doing, and the people who told her that they did fucking lied to her, basically, right?
Yeah. But taking Bitcoin and stuff as payment is brilliant if you assume that the currency is going to continue to rise. So taking Bitcoin or any kind of crypto as payment is basically like taking gold as payment. So yeah, you're gonna take the gold. You're hopefully gonna have enough cash from your other things sitting around that you pay your taxes, everything else that you need to do with cash, and then you leave that sit as an investment that just continues to grow.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the trends are with Bitcoin, it's going to continue to rise at least until it's all mined out, and then we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen at that point because there is going to be a finite amount of Bitcoin. Some people speculate eventually it'll go up to $1 million. Where I think, what is it? The smallest unit of Bitcoin that it could be broke down into is like a Satoshi, and at like $1 million, one Satoshi would be $1. Something like that. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'd be like a penny. But either way, like they're theorizing the end limit of this when it's all mined will be that it'll basically be its own currency and be stable like a currency, and then maybe it'll trade more like currencies do too. Which don't ask me about that. I don't really understand the whole currency market. But yeah. So they take the stuff even though it fluctuates on the hope that it goes up. Now there's risk associated with that because again. Think about like, okay, you got paid with a Bitcoin when it was 100K. Now it's down to 80K. So you can either sell that for a loss or you can hold on to it till you recoup your value. But since you took it as payment, you can't really declare that as a loss to the government, if that makes sense. Because you can't be like, yeah, I'm going to pay you with one gold bar, and then I tell the government at the end of the year that gold bar went down in value. So, like, really, I took a loss on that sale. It's like, no, you accepted taking that gold bar as payment, so you associate the risk with it.
There's a deer outside.
Okay. Your cat's going crazy right now.
I told you, I don't know if he wants to make friends with the deer or eat them, but it's hysterical. He loses his fucking mind.
Yeah. He's like, it's so big. They're so big. What are those things? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know because he knows he has no chance of taking that down, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if he wants to make a friend because it's like, oh shit, another animal, or if he wants to it's lion gazelle and he wants to pounce on it. I have no idea. But like, if it is the latter, when he gets up, what's he gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know. You think he would go crazier over like seeing like a rabbit or something like that out there, something he could actually like chase down, but.
Well, he does do the chitter at birds,
Yeah.
like the ack that thing. If you've seen cats do it,
no, but okay. I'll take your word for it, but no, I don't even want to mess with the frickin' deer. Those things are huge and they don't move. Like all it's gonna take is like getting kicked by one of those things, and it could fuck you up. The real scary part is like around fall when they got the horns. And I'm like, or antlers, but I'm like, dude, please, just like go away. Like you come out and they're just looking at you, and you're like, no, please, I just need to get to my car and go to work. Please don't stab me with your antlers right now.
Have you ever seen the shit with the deer when they're like shedding their antlers and they're like blood red felt antlers?
Oh, like the in between the seasons? Yeah. It's kind of like
terrifying.
hanging off. Yeah. Apparently it's not painful. I guess it's all like dead, but
It
it's
just
like
looks scary.
yeah. Yeah, and they'll actually like rub it against trees to get that off because maybe it itches a little bit. I don't know, but apparently it's not painful. But who knows? We can't really ask them.
True.
But yeah. But with the financial
Where were
stuff, yeah. No worries. I'm just waiting to see where it goes. But I've been waiting for this for a long time, and the only reason why I brought it up is because it got brought up at work this week. And I'm just like, I've been watching the cascade of failures from, again, the .com bubble all the way through 9/11, then through the Great Recession, which is it was crazy because it wasn't even that great. 2008 recession, or that would be the housing market collapse, which that one's an even bigger like faux pas on us. Then through, again, the COVID years, and now where we're at, like somebody needs to change something. I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but like we need to try it. We need to try and change it one way or another.
It's gonna do something, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I could be completely wrong on this and completely throw everything out of whack, and we get like even worse off. But all right, well then we're back to where humans used to be for 10,000 years. We just have a ruling class and a serf class, nothing else.
A lot of countries are still like that.
Yeah. So like the world will continue on. We'll be okay. We'll figure it out. Everybody's always like, how will we pay for this? And yet somehow we always figure out how to pay for it one way or another. So, again,
Going into debt or whatever. Yeah.
well, it's going to suck. But even like, again, like, so, they're like, what are we going to do with all this cheap Chinese stuff in the market? And I'm like, yeah, but because of that, and I know we're going to pay more, I've been trying to look for things from the U.S. on Amazon, and they're not that much more. Like those cables that I just got, the two retractable USB-C cables, they're made in the U.S., or at least they're made by a U.S. company. I don't know if they get all the parts in the U.S., who knows. But those things were $16 for two of them.
Assembled in U.S.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where they get all their parts. It took me a while to find one that was like USB-C to USB-C. I found a lot of USB-A to USB-C.
Interesting.
But like a lot more like other like US companies that make cables. And the prices aren't crazy. That's the thing I don't think people realize. Like if you actually source stuff that's like American, like it's a little bit more expensive, but it's not outrageous because there's only so much more that you can charge for certain things. Now, when you get into high end stuff, like they're talking about the iPhone costing more, like yeah, okay, but even then, like $3,000 for an iPhone, who cares? Nobody buys it outright anyway. A few people do. A few people buy the phones outright, but for the most part, people go, okay, I'm gonna pay $10 a month in my bill to get a new phone whenever it comes out.
The last couple of times I got a new phone, I purchased it outright, but I get Samsung that iPhone.
Yeah. So you're good. They're made in either Korea or Taiwan, right? I don't know. Does Samsung make them in China? I don't think they make them in China.
I would imagine it's Korea, but
Well, I think they do some assembly in Taiwan.
Maybe. I don't know. It probably doesn't fucking sound on the phone. I was going to look at my phone. Hey, does it say it? No, it's not going to say
Yeah,
it.
no. I think so.
Maybe on the inside somewhere it'll say like made in wherever, but they're not going to stamp that on the outside of a.
Yeah, I think Samsung has plants in China because everybody has plants in China, but like where it actually gets made and assembled, who knows?
Like what kind of plant? Like oregano?
No, like a manufacturing plant. But besides the fact that I absolutely hate using iPhones, at least the Samsung plant doesn't have suicide nets around the plant over there in China, so feel a little bit better about it. Plus, the Koreans make some crazy chip technology. That's why Intel partnered with Samsung for a while there.
I didn't know that.
Well, and AMD's Korean too, so.
Oh, I also didn't know that.
Yeah. Didn't know AMD's Korean?
No, what's that stand for?
I have no idea what it stands for, but I know they're Korean. Look it up, not Jamie.
I knew you were going to.
Put it in the Google box.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Bring the window over here where we can both see it. All right. Advanced micro devices. Okay, that doesn't sound Korean.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure. What, does Samsung sound Korean?
Yes. Wrong button. Uh, an American
Oh,
multinational. Okay, American multinational corporation and technology company headquartered in Santa Clara, California,
well, I am completely wrong then.
in Austin. So haha.
I thought they.
I'm glad you Googleized it.
Well, there you go. Even better. AMD is nice though.
You over here trying to misinform people.
I think they have a strong Korean R&D team though.
AMD. Let me do AMD Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically no results for that.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm just wrong. I don't know why. I thought they were Korean. See, this is why we're informed and oblivious. I know about AMD. I'm just wrong on the facts a little bit. You know, it's hard. This is what we have the internet for. I can't store all the information.
What's that giant head for?
Who knows? But yeah, I stand corrected on that. But the Koreans do have some crazy chip technology. AMD has gotten better at chip technology too recently. Intel's been pretty stagnant because they've rested on their laurels for too long. They used to be the only one in the game. Now they've got competition again, and they're like, ah, shit. Now we got to do something about it.
Well, Intel's making graphic chips now too, so
Yeah, well, and I think the chipsets now are down to 3 nanometers, something like that. Fucking crazy, which is something in like reference to like the stack. They're not like actually like 3 nanometers in size, the FinFETs,
well, yeah.
but it's the technology curve. So like probably within 5 to 10 years, we're gonna get to 1 nanometer chips, and then they're gonna drop down to the next subset, which is picometers, I think.
Yeah, milli, micro, no, yeah, pico.
Yeah, because we already went from the micro to nano, and now we're gonna go to picometer chips. And when we get to picometer chips, this stuff is gonna be insane. Like think of like how now you know how slow loading videos and stuff back in the early 2000s felt, where like you went and got
Scrolling
like a
down.
coffee and whatnot.
It's going line by line.
Yeah, like the speed of stuff loading and how it is right now is gonna feel like that in like 10 years, especially because they're working on higher compression like internet too,
Gotcha.
which is crazy because we have gigabit internet now. Think terabyte internet.
It's gonna be wild.
Yeah. It's just gonna be like a constant data stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I had upgraded to the 2 gig before, like we'd hop into a lobby and I'd be host or someone else would be host, and like on the next round, like, hey, look, I'm host.
Yeah. And
And our internet is shit compared to like Korea, right?
maybe it all depends on like what the development and the incentives are from the government to run these lines. So like our internet's a lot better than a lot of places in Europe.
Yeah.
But also like coastal internet here is better than center of the country internet.
Oh, really?
And it's just a matter of size. So like we have a lot more fiber out here, especially in this area.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I remember when the Fios was like, or Verizon was first putting out the Fios and the fiber everywhere, and you had to like, oh, it's running to our town next. We had to wait before we could get it.
Yeah, I forget who was doing it, and I don't know if they got a patent on it yet or if they're able to mass produce it. But I know a company was working on, and this was the crazy part, working on basically, I want to say it was sending pico or not pico, would it be petabytes?
Yeah, up from Terra.
Yeah, sending that much information over coax cable. They found like some way of like super compressing the data to make it possible. And like so the plus side of that is you don't have to rip up existing infrastructure. You just have to put these new like data hubs in that can compress the information and use it. Because the real problem is anybody who had the internet first, like i.e. us and like Europe, stuff like that, is you have all this coax cable sitting underneath the ground. And in order to get the fiber in, you have to either rip that up or run new channels to run the fiber alongside of it. And in some places it's easy, some places not so much. Like it took them a while to get fiber in New York City because of that. because they have massive tubes filled with like coax copper cable, and like the size comparison is wild too. You're talking like probably I want to say like a 7 or 8 foot diameter pipe that was filled with coax before, and to get the same amount of information of fiber, you're talking like not even like a 3-4 inch wide thing, because that's just how much the data scale is. But the problem is you can't rip all that out without putting new stuff in, because one, you have people that are still using that through like different internet providers, and two, like what are you going to do? You're going to just disrupt everybody's service and say, "Hold on while we figure this out." The real interesting thing, I think, and whether people's feelings on it aside right now, Starlink is going to be the real interesting thing.
Wireless shit, yeah.
Yes, because if we can get low orbit satellite transmission of the internet to like pretty decent speeds, and from what they have right now, I think they offer like 300 up and down, something like that. It's not
That's
great, but like for satellite, that's pretty good.
I mean, that's more than people have in like hardwired a lot of places in the country.
Yeah, but it's not super cheap. I think you could look it up. I think like if you get like an actual like hardwired in like Starlink, I think it'll cost you about like 200 a month, something like that. So like for like the price and the internet speed, it's not worth it in areas like this. But yeah, in remote areas, or if you're traveling a lot and you want to have the mobile version, like definitely worth it. But if we can get that low orbit satellite technology where we can like get it to even like gigabit internet through that, it'll revolutionize one, the internet technology, but two, it'll give us time to then, okay, everybody switches to satellite, and then either we make satellite technology better or we rip up the coax and put fiber like everywhere. Which, oh, speaking of crazy fiber stuff, did you see it's it's completely like asinine, but it is kind of wild that they did it. Did you see the shit that Russia's doing with their drones?
What?
So you know how like the Russia Ukraine war is basically a lot of drone warfare,
Yeah. You see the
more
videos.
from the Ukraine side.
People
Yeah.
hiding in foxholes.
Yeah. So since Ukraine does that, and since they're allied with us and the EU, they have a lot of like anti-drone technology, like things that'll shoot down drones or interfere with the signals. So like I think the thing that the UK developed to block the drones and stop them from working was this gun that basically shoots bursts of radio wave frequencies that interfere with the piloting and they crash. So to counteract this, Russia started controlling their drones with fiber optic cables.
Like hardwired drones.
Yes, and you think like, oh,
Just like miles of cable that they've.
yeah. Well, here's the wild part. You think it wouldn't go that far, right? But they're using very thin fiber optic cable, and the mileage on it is 50 miles. They can fly it for 50 miles, and it's basically like dropping like silk webbing behind it.
That is a long fucking cable.
Yeah, but with fiber it works.
Yeah.
You could get away with it with fiber optic because you're just bouncing the light wave. Now the problem with it
I just mean like physically making the cable. Like Jesus Christ, you gotta produce a 50-mile long cable.
Well, did you ever do the fiber class in school?
Yeah.
Well, you know how like small those fiber optic cables
It's just
are.
extruded. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually it's more cost effective than making the copper cables. So like you pump one of those out. And then, but yeah, the only problem with it though is like, if it gets any kind of like crink in it or gets damaged, the drone's just gonna drop out of the sky. Because like we all know how fiber. Well, for those of you listening who don't know how fiber works, so
like it's actual glass compressed into like a rubber housing.
yeah, glass or light. But the way that it works, and the high level explanation is it's sending data via light waves and not the light itself. So don't think like blink on off like you're doing some Morse code transmission. Think this is the actual like waveform, and depending on the peak and valley of the wave gets you the ones or zero for the electronic signal transmission. So you can send infinitely more data than you can with electronic pulses through a coax wire cable. But the drawback is if the radius of the cable is too tight and or the cable gets a little bent, what happens is the light gets refracted, and then when the light gets refracted, the signal bounces back, or you get data loss as the signal goes through the cable to wherever it's going. The other problem with this is, too, you're going to need people that are able to make the connectors so you don't lose the data on the end of that, which I also laughed at. I was like, if this is going to be the new drone warfare, if World War III happens, I'm just going to sign up to be the guy doing the fiber cables at the front of the line. You'll see me there with a microscope, rubbing alcohol and polish to make the glass connectors good. Be like, all right, we need 50 drone connectors now. I'm working on it.
Should we re-up our fiber certifications?
Yeah, maybe it might be a good time. Very, very good military opportunities for that. But yeah, 50-mile range on these fiber controlled drones. And the thing that's the wild part about that, the cable doesn't get retrieved. So it's gonna go do its mission, and then I don't know, maybe you fly it back and maybe you can get that cable back, but I feel
as long as it doesn't snag it. Yeah, it snags on one thing and then you're fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be a one-way trip because they have nothing to retrieve this with. But
so I guess I was thinking of it dragging the cable along with it, but no. So you're saying it's spooled up on it and then releases it as it flies.
Correct.
Okay. So if it's got a 50-mile range, either they don't expect to get the drone back either, or it's a 100-mile long cable.
No, they don't. I don't think they expect to get the drone.
All right.
Yeah, I think they're little kamikaze drones.
Once it gets there, it's done. All right.
Yeah, but still, it's crazy, and you got to think about it too. Now that means, in addition to all the other warfare stuff going on over there, now their wilderness is getting littered with this fiber cable everywhere. Yeah, and it's
I don't. You've seen some of the post-apocalypse and like After Earth, some of that sort of shit, and when they brush away the dirt and leaves, and basically that's the ground is just littered with cables and stuff like that. So I guess maybe that's where we're actually going.
yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I guarantee you, when this is all said and done and the dust settles, there'll be people over there in going into nature, or just reports of people hiking, and they'll see, I bet you birds will start making nests out of this shit. Because it's small, it's going to get broken up. I can't imagine it's going to survive the weather out there for very long, because again, I don't think they're making these cables to last extreme conditions. They're just yeah, get it out there.
That much of it you couldn't possibly, not in this not in the short time frame.
Yeah, but dude, the whole hobby drone thing in warfare is crazy, and I don't think people realize that that's what they're using. They hear oh, they're over there using drones.
Yeah, you think about the ones that were flying over New Jersey that were as big as a plane. But
yeah. No, this isn't that. These are little hobby drones,
not reconnaissance drones or missile launching drones. Yeah, no, they're little 4-pound lifter hobby drones. They go out there and they strap a fucking gun to them and ta-da.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I know it's propaganda to a degree, but I'm sure it's not that far off from it. They showed one of the Ukrainian drone operators. They're on a camo beanbag chair, so obviously a propaganda photo. But they're on a camo beanbag chair with the the VR goggle headsets on to control the drones and a controller. And I'm yeah, that's pretty much it. The only thing I don't buy is the beanbag chair, but other than that, that's what's going on over there. You got a lot of people the Matrix putting on the helmet to control the defense drone.
Well, maybe beanbag chair if they're sitting there on long term operations or whatever. If they're flying drone after drone after drone
beanbag
for
chair
16 hours. I don't know, maybe.
It's not they put the camo netting on top of a beanbag chair. It was camo. I'm okay, all right, that's
maybe
clearly,
it was a personal item.
Maybe. Yeah, you're going to be out there drone operating for a while. What do you want to bring with you? My beanbag chair. Okay.
I want to be comfy.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild to see how the future of that all turns out. And I will think, and the one thing that I do think is very funny is, now that we're in this trade war, everybody's forgotten about the Russia-Ukraine thing.
Yep.
Nobody brings it up at all. They're it was really hot there for a second, and now it's just oh my God, my 401k. I'm what 401k? I ain't got no 401k. I literally don't. But
the price of stuff. How am I going to get my eggs? From the store on the corner we talked about.
That's the other thing that's wild to me too. They're eggs are so expensive. Who's buying all those eggs? Like I know eggs are used for like certain baking things and whatnot, but like I can remember like routinely when I was younger, like we would get cartons of eggs, and like they're used so infrequently that like you'd
We
be like
threw them at houses.
we could well, yeah, there's that.
And then there's the toilet paper during COVID.
Yeah. I mean,
You picture people like actually at that time, like the kids in COVID and grandpas. Remember when I was your age, we were taking 3 TP over the houses. We wasted a whole case.
yeah, that's true. Like the toilet paper during COVID, like that was like wild. People went crazy. I was like, you a-holes, like we don't need a stockpile of toilet paper. It's gonna be okay. Like, oh my god, I was so mad. Like, it was so hard to get toilet paper for a while up here, and like that was wild because my sister being down in Florida at the time. Frickin', I thought like, okay, this is happening everywhere. I went down to Florida, all that stuff was in stock down there. It was just up here, and I don't know if it's because of our density or like they were like trying to make it seem like it was like worse than it was and like the scarcity, but I was like. I remember distinctly we couldn't get toilet paper up here, and if you did, it was like sandpaper on your ass. You're like, oh my god, you couldn't get hand sanitizer, and you couldn't get like disinfecting wipes. And then I went down to Florida, and all of that stuff was like in stock. I half debated at the time. I was like, I wanted to like pack my suitcase like full of it and just bring it back up with me. Like, what the fuck, man? Like it's wild to me. It was like wild how vastly different certain experiences like were during that like time period.
Yeah, I looked through the height of that with it not being so bad. Fucking,
Oh yeah, you were in Georgia.
well, I mean you still had the issues there, like not being able to get it, but it didn't matter that it wasn't as available because like I had very recently purchased like one of like the 50 packs or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And I lived alone, so I'm like, yeah, this is gonna last me a while.
Yeah, the only thing that worked out for me is I don't think I was doing carnivore at the time, but I was doing like one of those like you know low carb like high fat diets, and basically not to get too graphic, but I turned my backside into a water cannon. So
Gross.
so because of that, I had a bunch of like wipes laying around. So like I had bought like a case of wipes because it eventually got to the point where I'm like, all right, I need something gentler because this is a problem. So like I subsisted off of like stretching out the little bit of toilet paper that I had, aided by the wipes of like, okay, this is like, but even then, like I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like people are crazy, and it just shows like how like asinine that like the mentality of people are. Like I still don't understand to this day. Why, when a snowstorm comes, everybody goes and buys out all the milk and bread? What do we live in the fucking 1800s where like you don't think you're gonna get out of your house in 2 to 3 days? We're not in the Alaskan wilderness, bro. Like I can remember the worst storm that we had here in history was probably like the worst storm I can remember is like 30 inches of snow. That took like 2 days to dig out of, kind of. Most people were digged out after one day. It's all the side streets the second day. But like, dude, like, why does everybody like panic buy like all of the bread and milk? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I'd really love to understand that human condition of like why they like go after these certain things. If we could unlock that secret, we could make so much money.
Basic survival instinct, yeah.
Like it's just it doesn't make any sense because again with the hoarding toilet paper, it got so bad. Like I don't know how it was down by you, but like up by me, they're like one per customer.
Yeah.
It's like if we had all abided by that rule to begin with, we would have been fine. Yeah. Like, you don't need more than 120-pack. I don't care if you got a family of 10 in your house. You don't need more than 120-pack thing of toilet paper. You just, like, do, like, what my I don't know if it was my parents or my grandparents. You just do, like, the old trope of, like, all right, everybody gets, like, 3 squares per, like, thing. And if that's not good enough, hop in the shower, man.
Ugh.
No. Like, take a shower when you're done and clean yourself, man. It's the American bidet.
Gross.
Well, okay, what's the alternative? You just leave your ass, like, you know what I mean? Just hop in the shower. It's fine. It works. You clean the rest of yourself. What's wrong with cleaning that part?
I mean, I wash my ass, but, like, washing my ass in lieu of wiping, gross.
It's the same thing.
If you say so.
It's like driving your car through the mud and then you hose it off.
It's not like that, but okay.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of exactly like that. I never used a bidet over there in Europe though. That was.
Why not?
I don't know. I felt weird about it. One, because I was in hotels, so they're like public bidets. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a big fan of like the hotel toilets to begin with. I trust that they clean them beforehand, but like I don't know how these people are using these bidets. I don't know how to use the damn bidet. And some of them, it's like it's like a little faucet thing that you just turn on and it shoots up. You know, you're good. But some of them were like garden hose attachment things. And I don't trust that whoever was in there before me didn't put that a little bit too close to themselves in doing what they needed to do. You know what I mean? And I don't know, because then you're relying on the people cleaning the hotel, and it's like, well, if they use it properly, they know no contact. So like, why would they think to clean the head of that thing?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I felt weird. I'm like, I'm not doing that shit.
Back to the price of the fucking eggs, though. I remember a few weeks ago, my mom made me cookies.
Yeah.
Right before our trip, and she'd been talking to her sister about it, and she goes, "You made him cookies? Does he know how expensive eggs are right now?" It was funny, so.
Yeah, well, but that like this is the thing that freaking kills me with all that, right? We're complaining like, oh yeah, the price of eggs, all these other things. Like, it's not even that bad, because I remember hearing the Depression era stories from like my parents and my grandparents of like my I don't think it was my grandfather, maybe my great grandfather, like during the Depression, got like paid by people in like bags of flour. They would pay him in bags of flour, but he wasn't allowed to have it. So he would get that bags of flour because nobody had money. So they're like, here, I'll give you the bags of flour, and that's how you'll do the work for me. And he stowed the bags of flour in the ceiling so that like nobody knew that he had it, because they would come and check. And if you were hoarding stuff like that, like you could get into serious trouble. But like we're not even at that point. Like I remember the thing growing up that we always got was like my grandfather would make raisin bread cake, and raisin bread cake is a direct like Depression era food. Like that was like you just got like the ingredients that you could afford and muster together, and there's what you made. Like even that water pie thing. You ever see the guy that like makes the old like timey like recipes, and there's like a water pie thing?
You're talking about I was just gonna ask, because the content creator blew up on TikTok, and he had like the old '50s cookbook.
Yeah,
There's, Dylan B. Hollis, or B. Dylan Hollis, something like that.
Yeah, that guy.
No, he's fucking great.
Yeah, but the water pie thing is like literally of like I'm starving, my kids are starving here. How can I like stretch what I have?
So much, full depression on food. Yeah, I got to keep everybody alive and have it be like eatable.
Yeah. So it's bad, but it's not that bad yet. We're not at that like that level of like it's like, yeah, okay, you got to cut back on some luxury things, but like who cares? And that's the thing too. People are like, oh, all this stuff's gonna increase. Like we're gonna see stuff so expensive around the grocery store. I'm like, most people don't realize how much of a luxury it is to have non-seasonal things in your grocery store year round.
All the time.
Yeah. They're like, I'm not gonna be able to get strawberries in winter. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be able to anyway. like it's wild. Like, and again, it's not ideal, but we have it so freaking good, so freaking good, and I think people forget that sometimes, because I was like, yeah, I get it. Your normal day to day is going to be inconvenience, but I think a lot of us have always been there of like, well, I don't have the money right now, so I guess I'm getting ramen noodles for a while. Like you know, you find a way to make it
60
work.
cents a meal, hell yeah.
yeah, or get the Celeste pizzas, man. Like you know, I'm not proud. That's the one thing I will respect. They are terrible. They are borderline cardboard, but Celeste pizzas are still a fucking $1.
What was the square ones that we had in school?
The Elios?
Yeah, fuck yeah, Elios.
Elios is a little bit more pricey, but they still like they'll go on sale from time to time. And like, yeah, I've been there at certain points where I'm like, I need to save for something, or I'm hurting a little bit because something hit up right now, and I'm gonna get ramen. Celeste Pizza, Elios, and just like make it work till like I'm good again. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, it is what it is, and it sucks. I'm not gonna say it doesn't suck, but like, or even like canned food. I don't think people realize how like cheap canned food really is. Like even now,
Mm-hmm.
you can go and you can get like the Goya beans and whatnot, the like all the Goya brand stuff. You can still get a can of that stuff for under $1. Again, not ideal, but you make us some beans, get a little bit of like spices on that thing. It's fine. You'll live. You're not gonna die.
Mm-hmm. I used to one of the guys I worked with down in Georgia initially. Say what you will about the guy, but we didn't make terrible money there, and he like even though he was like doing okay with that, every day he would basically eat peanut butter jelly and ramen. That was like 99% of his diet, and he just saved the rest of the money away. He was saving up to do what he wanted to do. I'm like, fucking good on you, dude.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, and again, I completely sympathize with people like taking the price shock from these things. It's gonna be rough. It's especially gonna be rough if you have like a family with kids, because yeah, you can tighten up all that stuff for yourself, but we all know like kids won't eat certain things. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what you do. You're gonna try to get them to eat it. They're not gonna eat it. So like, hopefully they could still get cheap things like chicken nuggets or stuff like that that the kids will eat. But like for those families, I sympathize with, and we should do something for. But like everybody else, it's like, man, we gotta like tighten our belt to make this stuff work and figure out a correction to this financial system. And also, I just want to tell like everybody, like, if a rich person is telling you this is bad for you, know that it's not necessarily bad for you. It's bad for them and their money. Because that's the thing that kills me. Everybody that I've seen talking about this stuff, they're like, oh, it's so bad. Like, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? They're all very, very wealthy. They're all very, very heavily invested in the stock market. And they're going to
Mm-hmm.
hurt. Your average person probably isn't going to hurt. Most people I know don't even own stocks.
Yeah, and like if we're talking about like what's healthy for you, what's good for you, what's the life-saving medicine is gatekept by companies for finance when so that stuff could be given out for pennies on the dollar to everybody who needed it and save millions of lives, but not to put money in people's pockets. It's you got to go through insurance, spend a shit ton of money, and like they're also with that, but like if you can't trust them to like save people's lives for free, then you can't trust them to like improve your life.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that kills me is all the people saying like this is such a bad thing are the same people that shipped all the manufacturing and jobs over to China so that like all these towns across America suffered. All these people lost their jobs and they're like, "No, we can't do this because now instead of making $10 a t-shirt, I'll make $5 a t-shirt." And it's like, "Fuck you. I don't care." Like, I really don't care. Bring the stuff back here and let the stuff be made here. And when people are like, oh, but Americans wouldn't do that job, that is such an elitist fucking thing to say. There are so many people across this country that would be grateful for a
Mm,
factory job paying 30, 35, $40 an hour because that's what
yeah.
they keep saying, oh, it's going to cost that much. Who the hell's going to turn that down? Like, yeah, it's repetitive, but again, if you're worried about the price of food, you're worried about all this stuff feeding your family, you're not going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to work in a factory for a good wage.
Mm,
And a lot of the things too, like especially on the eco side of things, where people are like, "We got to save the environment. We got to look out for the environment." It's like, then why are we shipping this shit over to overseas where they don't have these environmental regulations and they don't care?
mm.
Like a lot of the stuff too, where like, oh, it costs more, is because we regulate certain things over here.
And so companies move to somewhere else where it's not regulated, and they can save money to
Exactly.
get it done. Yeah.
Exactly. Like people don't even realize that with like the rare earth metals
Mm-hmm.
things, we have like not as much as China. Like the rare earth things like really depends, but like we have lithium over here that we can do. But we have regulations around like the way that we mine lithium and whatnot because we did the whole lithium strip mining method and it's terrible for the environment and everything around it. So now we've created better ways and regulated ways, but companies say, well, I got to pay double the price to do
Mm-hmm.
that. So I'm going to ship it over there and let them destroy the environment instead. And it's like, Why are we on board with this? Why are we okay? Oh, because again, your iPhone costs half the price. Like, if you showed people the actual cost and you showed people the conditions that these people worked in, like, they would probably be okay with paying double but having it here. And again, some people wouldn't, and I
Hmm.
get that. But I think the majority of people, like, they do the thing over in the EU on the cigarettes. They have on the packaging like the damage, like the lung cancer,
Hmm.
like all this stuff. Like, imagine the impact if we over here was like, okay, if you get an iPhone, it shows you the working conditions of the
Oof.
people over
Oof.
there, shows you the lithium strip mines to get the battery for it. Like, people would be like, why am I buying this product? Like,
Mm.
but we're oblivious to it, and we're just like, ooh, new technology.
I do love new technology.
Yeah, but and again, like, I don't care because I'm not really either way on it. But I think, like, if people were shown the cost of these things, that they would care, like, far greatly. And we're talking too, like, the savings of people making this stuff overseas isn't that much, but it creates such a margin difference for them that they're like, okay, well, we're gonna make it over there. And, like, certain things, it's like, okay, on average. And again, I'm being very anecdotal here, but, like, let's say it costs $15 to make a shirt here in the U.S., and then it costs $10 when it's all said and done to make a shirt over there, because you got to ship the stuff back from over there to here. And regardless, there's shipping costs, there's tariff costs, all
Mm.
that stuff both ways. And so now you're saving $5 to just have it shipped over there, and people are like, "Well, I'd pay $5 more for a shirt." But these corporations are doing it because on the margins they're selling 10 million shirts. So now they've made $50 million because they saved $5 making it over
Hmm.
there versus over here. Because they're still going to charge you $20 for that shirt. It's just here it costs 15, there it costs 10. So, we got to do something on that. And I don't have the solution, but I'm hoping that, like, all of this stuff points a light on it, and finally somebody says, like, enough's enough and we've got to, like, sort this thing. And we also got to reverse the whole thing that started all this, which is companies, instead of having a financial responsibility towards the people in the company and the community that they're in, they have a financial responsibility to their shareholders. And that's something that we haven't challenged since, I think it was Dodge versus Ford, and we need to challenge that again. So this is the wild part. Like, that started back in the day with, like, Ford. Uh, he wanted to take the money that he made from profit, open more factories, reinvest in his workers, reinvest in the community, and you could feel whatever way you want about the guy, but he wanted to do the right thing with the profit. And at the time, the Dodge brothers were invested in Ford. They owned shares. So when he went to go do this, and they were direct competitors, something that the Supreme Court didn't take into account at the time, they sued Ford and said, no, 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 that's not your money. That's our money. That money belongs to the shareholders, not to you. And the Supreme Court sided with them. And ever since then, everybody said, okay, company has a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, not to the company, not to the community. And that's why you see things like people don't get raises. They don't do community outreach anymore, because everything is about maximizing profit to the shareholders, which is, I think, an irresponsible way of doing things. Because if you're investing in a company, you should be investing in it because you trust the leadership and you trust the direction that it's going. So if you like what they're doing and you think they're making a lot of money, if the head of the company says, we made record breaking profits this year, we're going to give people raises and we're going to build things around the community to make the community better, you should trust that that's a positive direction for the company. But, here we
Hmm.
are, and here we've been for a very long time. And I like to say always, we have a goldfish memory in this country, where we don't remember what's happened in the past, and the way that things are now isn't the way it's
Hmm.
always been. So the other bright side that I'm really hoping they actually
What was that?
do, and for those that are weary about the tariffs, hold on for this point. So they said if they make enough money from these tariffs, what they'll do is they'll eliminate the federal income tax for everybody making 150,000 a year or less.
Ah.
So there will be an initial price shock to things going up, but if they get the revenue from the tariffs that they expect, so, like, yeah, things will go up in price, but that means you can get like 20 to 30% more money back in your pocket because your federal income tax is gone. And that's a huge thing for people.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do that, that would be amazing. But the thing to pay attention to, and I watched a video on this like earlier this week, is that the tariff stuff is not inflationary. People think it's inflationary. It can be inflationary, like it can cause other problems, but it's a
I don't know what
price.
that means.
So it's a price shock. So what happens is the price is going up temporarily, and that's it. That's all it's going to
Mm-hmm.
do. So like let's say your cheap Chinese goods now are taxed at 200%. So it's going to go up 2 times or 3 times in value, and then it's going to stay there. Inflation is the thing cost $100 this year, and now we'll use round numbers because it's easier to do. Inflation's 10%. So now the next year the thing's $110. And then there's inflation again. So now you have
Mm-hmm.
inflation on the $110. And so now it's $130, whatever. Whereas a tariff is like, okay, now it's $100, now it's $300, and next year it's still $300. Like it doesn't increase the price year on out. It's just this is the new price, and then everybody adjusts.
Okay.
Yeah, so inflation is bad because the things cost more year on out, but your money doesn't go up in value. But this one, it's a price shock. This is going to be the new price, and then it'll be hopefully that'll be the continued price. But what it does, and hopefully it does, is it levels the price of things across the market, and it makes American goods more competitive. So now the American goods cost more, so they're getting beat out by these other companies because overseas it's cheaper to make, just
Mm-hmm.
because we are the strongest economy in the world. So by default, our stuff's going to cost more. It's just the way that it is. So the tariffs will level the playing field up where the people inside the U.S. can compete, and you can still buy stuff outside of the U.S. But maybe now you say, okay, well now this thing costs $100 here. It costs $100 if I get it from outside of the U.S. I'll buy the one it costs $100 here. And the difference is if you buy the thing that's $100 here, all of that money goes back into the economy here. If you buy the foreign thing for $100, yes, some of it goes into the economy here because the seller's
Mm-hmm.
selling it to you, but the majority of that money gets shipped overseas and into their economy. And that's what stagnates wages, stagnates growth because the money's not circulating here, it's circulating in other countries.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I went on a long rant there.
I might be a little too high for that.
It's okay. It's okay. These are the things that keep me up at night, Like when I'm sitting there laying in bed and I'm like, man, I should really go to bed. And I'm like, oh, man, what's going to happen to the economy? But at the end of the day, we're average people. Most people are average people. It's not going to affect us that much. There will be people at the lowest ends and at the highest ends that are greatly affected by this,
Mm.
but the middle is basically going to stay like unaffected, how it always has. You're not going to buy certain things as often, but to a certain extent, maybe we shouldn't be. So I don't know, man. World's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. You got anything else on your mind?
No, especially not right now.
All right. Well, I'm out of my drinks. You seem to be out of it. I think this is a good time to call it. Again, this has been the Informed and Oblivious podcast. If you like what you hear today, drop us a like, drop us a subscribe, follow, leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts, your feedback, and we'll talk to you
Yeah.
guys soon.
Adios.
See ya.